It doesn't work. Not since I was a kid. Hang it up.
Welcome to ReelQuick Cinema, where we dive into your favorite movies in just minutes. Today, we're breaking down the 2021 horror hit, The Black Phone. Spoiler alert. The story begins in the peaceful suburbs of North Denver in 1978. A group of kids is gathered in an open field playing baseball. Among them is Finney Shaw, standing on the pitcher's mound. The crowd watches as Finney faces Bruce, a confident and popular kid in town. The ball flies through the air and Bruce smashes it with a satisfying crack. Home run. The crowd erupts in cheers. Despite the loss, Bruce walks up to Finney with a grin, showing great sportsmanship by saying, "Your arm is mint. You almost had me." But things take a dark turn later that evening. Bruce vanishes, becoming the latest victim in a string of mysterious child abductions terrorizing the town. The next day, as Finney and his sister Gwen walk to school, we meet Robin, a tough, fearless boy who can hold his own in a fight. He's the opposite of Finney in every way and often steps in to protect him from the relentless bullies. Robin advises Finney to learn how to stand up for himself, but despite the advice, Finney remains withdrawn and quiet. Meanwhile, Gwen has been having vivid, disturbing dreams about the missing kids, dreams that seem more like visions. She describes Bruce's disappearance with unsettling accuracy, catching the attention of the local investigators. But when Gwen returns home, her father, an angry and frustrated man, is waiting for her. He doesn't believe in her psychic abilities, thinking they're the result of wild imagination or worse delusions inherited from her mother, who struggled with similar visions before her death. In a fit of rage, Gwen's father violently punishes her and starts hitting her with a belt, demanding that she stop talking about her dreams. Through tears and screams, Gwen insists that her dreams feel real, but he continues to beat her, repeating that dreams aren't real. It's a heartbreaking and brutal moment, showing the abusive dynamic Gwen endures at home. Not long after, the town is thrown into panic once more. Robin, Finney's protector and only friend, is abducted, plunging the community into an emergency state. Finney is devastated, realizing that his last line of defense is now gone. The disappearance rattles Finney to his core, leaving him feeling even more vulnerable than before. Not long after, the unthinkable happens. Finney himself is taken. It's a seemingly ordinary day as he walks home from school, but everything quickly spirals into chaos. He encounters a strange man seemingly struggling with his magician supplies, black balloons, and a bundle of tricks. Finney offers to help, but before he can react, the man lunges. He grabs Finney, covering his mouth and dragging him into a black van. The last thing Finney sees is the darkness of the van closing in before everything fades to black. Finney wakes up in a cold, dark basement. The surroundings are grim, dirty walls, an old mattress, and a disconnected black rotary phone on the wall. He's disoriented and terrified. Soon, the man who abducted him, wearing a terrifying mask, enters. This is the Grabber. He tries to reassure Finney by saying he's safe for now, but warns him against trying to escape. Finney knows he's trapped. After the Grabber leaves, Finney is left alone in the dark basement, staring at the black phone. Desperate, he tries to make a call for help, but quickly realizes the phone isn't connected to the wall. Defeated and hopeless, he collapses onto the bed, unsure of what to do next. This marks one of his lowest moments in the story, but little does he know, the phone still has a purpose. The town is thrown into a state of shock when news breaks about Finney's abduction. The same fear that gripped the town after Bruce and Robin went missing resurfaces. But this time, it's even more personal for Gwen. Devastated and heartbroken by her brother's disappearance, Gwen turns to her faith. She prays intensely for a sign or divine intervention, hoping that her psychic dreams will lead her to Finney. As Finney lies defeated, staring at the disconnected black phone, something shocking happens. The phone rings. Hesitant, yet desperate, he answers, only to feel his heart drop as the Grabber stands behind him, whispering that the phone hasn't worked since he was a kid. After the Grabber leaves, Finney's panic intensifies. He tries to scream for help, but the room is soundproof, rendering his voice useless. Just when he thinks all hope is lost, the phone rings again. Cautiously, Finney picks it up. A soft whisper calls his name, sending a chill down his spine. Mustering his courage, he answers again, and a familiar voice echoes through. It's Bruce, the boy who vanished before him. Bruce explains that while the black phone never worked for the grabber, himself, or the others, it does for Finney. Before the line abruptly cuts off, Bruce shares one crucial piece of advice. There's a dirt section of the hallway floor with a loose tile. He tells Finney to dig beneath it, as it might lead to his escape. Meanwhile, Gwen's dreams grow more vivid and intense. She dreams of the other victims, including her brother, and believes she's seeing where they were taken. She prays for help, desperate to find Finney before it's too late. Back in the basement, the grabber leaves the door unhinged, as if inviting Finney to escape. Just as Finney reaches for the door, the phone rings again. An unfamiliar voice comes through, urgently warning him not to go upstairs. It's a trap. The voice belongs to Billy, a paperboy who, like the others, was taken by the grabber. Billy recounts the horrors he endured, urging Finney to stay put and not fall for the same tricks that cost him his life. Curiosity gets the better of Finney as he cautiously climbs the stairs, drawn toward the door where the grabber waits, eager for Finney to fall into his twisted game. Just before crossing the threshold, Finney halts, remembering Billy's warning. He retreats to the basement, narrowly avoiding the trap. The voices on the black phone continue to guide Finney. Billy calls again, revealing a hidden cord he had stashed away, urging Finney to use it to climb through the basement window. Finney tries desperately to escape, but despite multiple attempts, he's unable to break free. Meanwhile, Gwen's dreams grow even more vivid. She witnesses Billy's last moments, delivering newspapers before being taken by the grabber, strengthening her conviction that her dreams may be the key to saving Finney. Gwen, desperate and conflicted, decides to confide in her father about her dreams. Through their tense conversation, we learn that Gwen's mother also had these psychic abilities, but they brought her nothing but hardship. Gwen's father, haunted by his wife's tragic experiences, has always been terrified that Gwen would suffer the same fate. But Gwen, determined to save Finney, pleads with her father. What if this will help me find Finney? Moved by her desperation, Gwen's father reluctantly agrees to listen. For the first time, he starts to believe in Gwen's visions. Together, they set out determined to find the house from Gwen's dreams, hoping against hope that they can reach Finney before it's too late. The police continue their search for the missing boys and come across Max, who is deeply engrossed in trying to solve the case. He eagerly shows the police his research, filled with maps and notes. However, after spotting some questionable items around Max's home, the police dismiss him as just another eccentric. Unbeknownst to them, the answer to their search is much closer than they realize, right beneath their feet. Back in the basement, Finney encounters the ghostly image of a boy who appears distressed, with clear signs of his past struggle. The black phone rings and a new voice comes through. It's Griffin. He warns Finney that time is running out and that the grabber has been waiting, hoping Finney will play his twisted game called Naughty Boy. Griffin explains that as long as Finney refuses to play, the grabber can't move on to the next part of his plan. Griffin reveals that the basement door was intentionally left unlocked by the grabber, who is trying to lure Finney into playing his twisted game. He also explains that the door upstairs is secured with Griffin's bike lock. Griffin then gives Finney the combination for the lock, which is etched on the wall. With his heart pounding, Finney quietly sneaks upstairs and carefully unlocks the door. After a few tense moments, he finally succeeds and bolts out of the house, running as fast as he can. However, the grabber wakes up and quickly pursues Finney in his van. Despite Finney's best efforts, he is recaptured, his desperate attempt at freedom cut short. Finney receives another phone call, this time from Vance Hopper, who angrily tells him, "Today is the day, mother father." The scene then transitions to Gwen's dream, which reveals the backstory of Vance. In the dream, Vance is shown involved in a heated altercation inside a convenience store. During the scuffle, he carves the numbers 7741 inch into a surface, which will later prove to be a crucial clue. After the incident, Vance is taken away by the police, but not before Gwen finds herself inside the police car with him in her dream. As the dream continues, Gwen hears Finney's voice, having the same conversation over the black phone that she's hearing now. Suddenly, the police car screeches to a halt, and Vance shows Gwen a house with the address 7741, the very place where Finney is being held. Vance instructs Finney that the wall by the toilet conceals a way out. He explains that the room was once a storage area, and by digging, Finney could reach the storage room and escape. When Finney thanks Vance for helping him, Vance snaps, enraged. He clarifies that he's not doing this for Finney, but to get back at the grabber. Determined, Finney follows Vance's instructions and begins digging, only to discover that his path is blocked by a large locked freezer. The realization that he's still trapped shatters Finney's hope, leaving him devastated and on the verge of breaking down. Then, the call he's been waiting for finally comes. It's Robin. Robin reassures Finney that he's been with him the whole time and reminds him of an important lesson. Someday, you have to stand up for yourself. Though Finney protests that he's not a fighter like Robin, Robin counters, reminding him that they are friends because Finney has always been a fighter. He never stays down. Robin encourages Finney to be strong and to fight, saying that if he doesn't, all their efforts will be in vain. He suggests filling the receiver with dirt to give it some weight, and then trains Finney on how to use it as a weapon. As the line is about to cut, Robin leaves him with one final message. This is the last phone call, Finn. It's all you from here on out. Get out for me and use what we've given you. Following her dream with Vance, Gwen set out to find the house she had seen so vividly. As she searched, she was stopped by the spirits of the 5 boys and realized she was standing right in front of the house from her dreams. Without hesitation, she called the detectives to inform them. Meanwhile, Max, who had been piecing together the clues, suddenly realized that all the signs pointed to his own home. Unbeknownst to Max, he is the grabber's brother, living upstairs, unaware of the horrors below. Driven by curiosity, Max ventured into the basement and discovered Finney. Stunned by what he saw, Max was caught off guard as the grabber unexpectedly confronted him, leaving Max unable to respond. As the police arrive at the house Gwen directed them to, the grabber is on the verge of executing the final part of his twisted plan. He considers Finney special among his victims and is intent on making his suffering even more intense. With his dog Samson by his side, the grabber prepares to carry out his plan. Meanwhile, the police search the house Gwen pointed out, but find no one there. It quickly dawns on them that they are in the wrong location, leaving Finney in even greater peril. The grabber, filled with a menacing intent, picks up his axe, ready to strike. But Finney, having prepared for this moment, is quick on his feet. As the grabber swings the axe, Finney skillfully dodges and dashes toward the toilet where he has set a trap. Finney pulls a hidden cord on the floor and the grabber falls into the hole, breaking his foot. Seizing the moment, Finney grabs the black phone and delivers a powerful strike to the grabber's face. Finney continues to strike, each blow driven by the memories of those who suffered before him. The grabber manages to get hold of Finney, and in the struggle, Finney reaches up and snatches the grabber's mask off, throwing him into confusion and making him vulnerable. With quick thinking, Finney wraps the telephone cord around the grabber's neck, holding it tightly. In a chilling moment, the black phone rings unexpectedly, and Finney hears the voices of the grabber's previous victims. They speak through the phone, each delivering their final message of justice. As the grabber is overwhelmed by the voices, Finney, summoning all his remaining strength, tightens his grip on the cord. With one final effort, he ends the struggle, bringing a sense of closure to the torment that has haunted him and the others. Meanwhile, the detectives finally make their way into the basement of the house. However, instead of finding Finney, they stumble upon a horrifying sight, a grave where the 5 missing boys lie. The chilling discovery reveals that the grabber had been using 2 separate houses for his crimes, one for keeping his victims, and another for concealing their tragic fate. Finney's harrowing nightmare finally comes to a close. With the grabber defeated, he slowly ascends from the basement, his steps heavy with exhaustion but filled hard-earned justice for all the grabber's victims. Each room he passes through in the house is a grim reminder of what he's survived. Finally, Finney reaches the main door, the last barrier between him and freedom. He unlocks it, breathes the fresh air, and steps out into the daylight, leaving the darkness behind. As Finney emerges from the house, he spots Gwen standing in front, her eyes wide with a mix of relief and disbelief. The weight of everything they've been through hangs in the air, but for now, all that matters is that they're together again. Gwen runs to him, wrapping her arms tightly around her brother, thankful beyond words that he is safe and alive. In that moment, they are finally reunited, the nightmare behind them. Yet, as they hold each other close, it's clear that the scars of their ordeal will linger, a reminder of the terror they've endured and the strength they've found in each other. The chilling details of the town's nightmare are finally revealed. The tragic fate of the 5 boys and Finney's triumphant stand against the grabber. As the story concludes, we see Finney returning to school, no longer the timid boy he once was, but renewed with a quiet, resolute confidence. The experience has scarred him, but it has also forged a strength that will stay with him long after the horror fades. Finney's story is one of survival, courage, and the enduring power of hope, leaving a lasting impact on the town and everyone who hears it. The Black Phone is a movie adaptation from Joe Hill's short story From 20th Century Ghosts, published in 2004. The movie has received overall favorable scores from various critic platforms. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. See you in the next ReelQuick Cinema recap.